What's going on, champions? Hector Estrada Lopez coming at you with another great informational health fact. So today I want to cover the question, does fat weigh more than muscle? Actually, that's the other way around. Whoops. Does muscle weigh more than fat? Now, this is a common question that you'll hear in gyms or any kind of health setting, or maybe even it'll be said as a statement where, yes, you will not probably lose weight, or you may actually gain weight because when you put on muscle, you're going to be bigger and you're going to weigh heavier because muscle weighs more than fat. So this is a common misconception that is heard everywhere, and I want to give you the fact. It is not true. Muscle does not weigh more than fat. Let me put it this way, in a simple question. Which weighs more, a pound of feathers or a pound of lead? I'll give you a second to think about it. Surprisingly, a lot of people get this wrong, where they'll usually say, oh, lead, of course, because it just weighs more. But remember, I said a pound, 1 pound of lead and 1 pound of feathers. They're the same. Exactly the same. Let me illustrate this for you. Okay, so I got my little handy dandy markers and dry erase board, so hopefully one of these markers will look exceptionally well so that you can see it really good on the screen. All right, so going back to that question of which weighs more, 1 pound of a little block here of lead or 1 pound of a bag full of little feathers. I can't. You know, one of the great things that I actually learned across the years is that I learned exceptionally well with examples, physical examples like this here, or by either saying it or by hearing it. But one of the things that I'm not blessed with is the ability to draw. So pardon me for my abilities here, but I am a really crappy drawer, so work with me. Work with me. All right, so here we got here the feathers. Hopefully you can see that there. Gotta get my big head out the way. All right, so here we go. You got 1 pound of lead, 1 pound of feathers. If you actually look at it, they're exactly the same amount of weight. 1 pound is equivalent to 1 pound. So with that in mind, you notice a difference in size. So you see here the lead typically is going to be a lot smaller, and then afterwards the feathers is going to be a really huge bag. And one of the big things that a lot of people think is that, okay, so let's say the lead here is the muscle, and then afterwards over here the feathers is the body fat that you have all around your body. So this is what's typically thought, that, oh yeah, 1 pound of muscle is the equivalent of 1 pound of fat in weight terms, but in actual appearance and actual size, there's a huge difference. What ends up happening, where if I use here an example of a person, let's say here you got somebody who's, again, not the best drawing abilities, but I'm trying my best here. Yeah, oh cool, it comes out great. All right, so you have someone here who's 170 pounds, and they have a lot of good musculature, well built, and then afterwards you have over here somebody who's about equivalent height, and they're also 170 pounds. But, so the height is about the same. So the height is equivalent, the arm length, everything, whatever you want to say. The point is, they're both 170 pounds. Yet you see a drastic difference of one person has more skinny figure and the other person has more of a rounded figure. What makes up the difference? You know, you see someone who's muscular compared to someone who is a lot fluffier, to say it in nicer terms, and there's that difference. Well, the biggest reason is because this person is more muscular, they're more denser, as opposed to the person who has more fat around their body, they're not as dense. So what does that mean? So density is pretty much the principle of within a certain amount of space, you can pack a lot of, within a certain amount of space, you have a certain amount of molecules or atoms in that space. So here, I know we're bringing you back to the good old chemistry class, but this will help you to understand it and explain it to someone if they ever ask you this or make this as a statement. So here you have the lead where it is really packed, really tightly, a lot of molecules. And then afterwards, you have the feathers where here, the molecules are really dispersed. In other words, they're really spread apart. So what ends up happening? The more dense, in other words, the more compact something is, the smaller it's going to be. And then afterwards, the less dense or the more wide apart that the molecules are, that's where it has a larger size. So if fat is less dense, that means it's going to be spread out across a larger size. And what ends up happening is that somebody who has a lot of fat around their body is going to be larger. Muscle, on the other hand, is a lot more dense. So in other words, it's going to have a lot more molecules and atoms packed into a smaller space. So what ends up happening is that you have somebody who is a lot slimmer or a lot more compact. And that's the biggest reason why you have those differences where people weigh the same, yet they'll not be, or excuse me, they'll weigh the same, but their bodies will look completely different. So, with that in mind, yeah, it's actually true that you might, when you're starting out in your fitness goals and then afterwards you want to lose weight where you're initially at 170 pounds, but you're actually looking, holy smokes, I'm still 170 pounds, but if you look in the mirror, you're a lot slimmer. In other words, a lot more fitter. So in other words, you've packed on more muscle, but you still weigh the same 170 pounds. What happened? Your body, or your whole entire body mass, is actually more reduced because your muscles that you've packed on is more dense. But you can still maintain the same weight. That is true. So one of the other factors to find out, that's why weight sometimes isn't a good factor when you're trying to lose weight, because you're actually looking at it like, oh, okay, I weigh the same. Oh man, your motivation starts going down. But if you use other factors such as the circumference, let me use a different marker here. So if you use the circumference of your waist, or sometimes even the circumference of your biceps or of your thighs, what ends up happening is that, okay, I had a circumference of 110 centimeters, as an example. And now I'm at a circumference of 100 centimeters. And now I'm at a waist circumference of 80 centimeters. So when you look at that, you're like, oh wow, I'm the same weight, but I'm a lot slimmer. And usually the easiest way to be able to see this, the mirror test. Check that out. So there you have it. That was my first time using the dry erase board, and it actually sits a lot lower. So I'm actually in a sitting position while I'm recording. So I still gotta figure out the angles to make sure that it looks really nice and everything. But hopefully, in spite of all of that, you got the message across that it's a matter of density difference, that you see a difference in the body composition. In other words, how you look in the mirror. So, does muscle actually weigh more than fat? No, it does not. 1 pound of muscle is exactly the same as 1 bigger pound of fat. It's just that the muscle is more dense, so it's smaller, as opposed to the fat, where it's less dense and it's a lot bigger. So now, anytime somebody brings that up to you, you can say, whoa, 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 hold up. Let's bust out the pen and paper and let me describe to you the reason why that is not true. It's actually the same. And you should be using other metrics, not just your body weight, to see if you're actually improving in the gym. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate the support, and please share this video, subscribe so that you can learn more great, amazing health and fitness facts. Until next time, champions.